The story leads. EFF leader Julius Malema is expected to address supporters at the KaNyamazane Stadium in Mpumalanga today as the party celebrates its 6th anniversary. Communities in and around the area say they are desperate for proper basic services, including water and road infrastructure. Now, the EFF is the official opposition in Mpumalanga, where it's more than doubled its support since the 2014 election. Let's get the latest now. Sphephile Kunene is joining us from the KaNyamazane Stadium. Sphephile, thank you very much indeed for your time. A very good morning to you. What's the mood ahead of the big birthday celebrations?
Morning to you too, Blaine. People seem happy. Supporters of the EFF are trickling in. Some come as far as Limpopo just to celebrate this birthday. I have two supporters here who will tell us why they're here, why they joined the EFF in the beginning. You are a supporter of the EFF. You're actually in the University of Venda. Why did you join the EFF?
No, EFF is the only organization which seeks to speak the issues of the students and the youth in particular. If you check in the current political arena, all these political organizations are not even active or even trying to champion our interests as youth. So that's why I saw future in the EFF, hence I joined the EFF, and I'm a member of EFF, a proud one for that matter. And equally, I'm also excited for the growth of the movement. I wish we can equally grow even further than this.
Okay, now moving forward, what do you expect in the future?
No, I expect the EFF to grow tremendously. We grow in numbers, the support equally even in the villages. Which it can the message can also be spread there, because the EFF in fact is strengthened by the student command, and then the student command in the institutions of higher learning is doing very well. We are taking charge of most of the campuses if you were to check. So we would like to also penetrate in the villages as well.
Okay, issues of employment, fighting with poverty. What's your take on that?
No, it's very much disturbing to see that the majority of us youth, like most especially graduates, who are having qualification. It's just a certified qualification, but no experience, no work, nothing that is happening from our government. So we're hoping that when we take over the government, we are going to attend the issues of the youth unemployment.
Okay, thank you. We have another student coming in from the same university who will be telling us how he feels about today. Today the EFF is 6 years old. What does that say to you?
No, I'm very much excited that we are growing today. As you can check at the other universities or TVET colleges, we've been growing, we've been increasing numbers. I'm very much excited that I come all the way from University of Venda to come to Mpumalanga. It's for the first time I come here. I'm very much happy, and all I say to the people all over the world is that let us celebrate together, and all I wish is that even in the rural areas, let us continue joining the EFF, because I believe that EFF is the only party that can bring economic freedom in our lifetime. Thank you.
Economic freedom of fighting. What does that mean to you? What does it give you as a member of a youth?
I mean to say things like service delivery in our communities, because if you can check, we have things like water crisis, unemployment, and so on and so on. I believe that EFF is the only organization that can give us job opportunities, can create jobs, and bring better service delivery. Thank you.
Thank you. Those were supporters of the EFF. They are from the University of Venda. They are in the student command. They believe that there's a better future with the EFF. They believe that there will be employment creation. They won't only hold qualifications without being employed. Blaine?
Sphephile, just give us a sense in terms of Julius Malema addressing the crowds there. What time do we expect him?
Okay, from now until around 12, there'll be entertainment. People are coming in and trips and traps, just a few on the arena now. But as the day advances, there's expected to be a full attendance here. The stadium is expected to be occupied to full capacity. Julius Malema is expected to address them between 12 and 1. We are not sure at the exact time as yet, but the announcement gave us 1 o'clock. So after that address, they expected to have entertainment and then have fun, eat, dance, just a joyous celebration to be in 6 years of existence when people had not believed that they'll exist for even 2 years.
Well, let's test that. Sphephile Kunene in Mpumalanga, thank you. I want to bring in political analyst Ongama Mtimka, who joins us via Skype for a perspective. Ongama, thank you very much indeed for your time. I want to talk about the EFF's political approach as they celebrate the 6th anniversary. You would agree I guess it's tough to capture the imagination of an ever-changing electorate. How would you describe the EFF's efforts to, well, in trying to do just that?
I think the EFF came in at a time when the country was at the height of state capture, with a sitting president at the time who actually had become a symbol or an embodiment of what was wrong with our government. And with an ANC that relentlessly wanted to keep the president there. So it was a challenging time that they came in. And I think their contribution was to mainly push the boundaries on the terms of engagement in Parliament, such that in every parliamentary sitting, you are more likely going to hear what the EFF did than what the governing party and the official opposition. So they entrenched themselves in the hearts and minds of South Africans as people who would do even the extraordinary to rid the country of what at the time was an unwanted president. So I think much of their success can be attributed to the fact that they were game changers in terms of the rules of engagement in Parliament and also the politics of disruption, which they brought in that house, which was contextually correct at the time because you had a government really that was not wanted and was not willing to accede to the needs of the to the cause of the people.
Let's just dig a little bit deep and get to the roots of the economic freedom fighters. Who's their constituency? Who's their base? And how loyal are they?
First of all, they represent a generation of young people who, from the processes leading to Mangaung, started to campaign around an idea of economic freedom in our lifetime. So, as such, they positioned themselves as those who are going to carry the struggle forward in terms of how best to advance the economic struggle in South Africa. On top of that, though, they've been able to capture some of the campus vote in South Africa, and a significant part of the youth vote as well has been they've been able to capture. And I think they are capturing that constituency on two fronts: on the level of representativity, in that the leaders are young, but also in terms of the rhetoric that they are bringing into the political scene.
Look, the EFF has no doubt grown. The leaders will tell you they are growing, as evident in the 2019 elections. Its parliamentary caucus is much bigger, from 25 to around 44 now. How would you judge that growth, Ongama?
It's been a tremendous growth, especially given the trend that most splinter parties from the ANC grow when there's still a euphoria around the ideals they represent, and then in subsequent elections start losing votes. So they've done well to actually reverse that trend and have potential, by the way, to continue to do well if they are circumspect about how they are engaging in the political scene currently. Now, the tactics which they used against President Zuma's government were acceptable because you had that government had a legitimacy crisis. You now have a president whose legitimacy is only questioned among politicians so far. So to employ those strategies at a time when the country has not yet been sold to the idea that they are warranted against this president and his regime has potential to actually push the EFF on perceptions of rogueness, as there has been agitations among a few opinion makers. So I think for me, they need to read the situation correctly and also make sure that they've got strategies and tactics that work for this government. If they stay put, as far as I'm concerned, the ANC is going to make enough blunders by themselves because they are warring among themselves. And they don't need the kind of tactics which can only serve to reframe the EFF badly in the public light, as opposed to the gains they made under President Zuma.
So I want to talk about this environment, this conducive environment that needs to be in place in order for the EFF to grow. The question, I guess, is can this growth be sustained? What sort of environment does the EFF need in order to flourish?
The environment is there, Blaine. One, you have the challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment are relentless, and especially among young people. And you have an ANC who I keep referring to it because they are the governing party. You have an ANC that has got the right policy framework, but is so passionately fighting within that it can only serve to distract, to destroy the party. Now, the question is, we have seen with the election now that it doesn't necessarily follow that loss of support for the ANC means gain of support either for the EFF or for the DA. What we're seeing is that the South African voter is a very fluid voter, to the extent and how it decides where to send its support is a function increasingly of assessment of political parties and their rhetoric and their performance and their promises. It's not a blind loyalty which the ANC has enjoyed thus far.
So the policies, the rhetoric that political parties have is very important. Notwithstanding that, what about personality politics? Let's talk about Julius Malema for a moment and the role that personality politics plays in South Africa. You have the likes of Ramaphosa, Maimane, Delil, Malema, as we mentioned, all orators of note in their own right. An important factor?
So that becomes a critical issue, especially when discussing things like a succession within a party, and also the continued relevance of a particular leader. The EFF so far, because of the benefit of age, and also because of the charismatic personality that Malema has, largely, I'm saying largely because there are traits about that charisma which are not needed in a democracy, such as, for example, vilifying certain sections of the populace and the ideas which they have about what constitutes citizenship in South Africa. Deliberately, as a country, we buy into the idea of unity and diversity. So when you have leaders that continue to rattle that and are not necessarily committed to actually, generally it's not a wanted part, but Julius Malema as a leader, I think, still has a long way to go. But the challenges around personality will come once somebody wants to contest him at a leadership level within the party.
Ongama, I'm going to push that battery life that you have to the limit, so just bear with me. Let me just throw in one more question. I mean, with regards to Julius Malema and the EFF, how reliant would you say is the EFF on his leadership? Is Malema so key to the party that should something happen to his authority, the party is likely to suffer?
I think, by the way, Blaine, it's a founder's syndrome across the board. Floyd and Julius exercise power almost in together, is the way I see it. And some within the EFF whom they see as people who can continue to be a source of counsel among them. So it's quite interesting how things will play out once somebody that's not perceived to be part of that inner circle wants to challenge power. The question, in fact, could be, to which extent will Floyd also want to continue to be a support leader to Julius Malema? Is there going to be a stage where he himself wants to contest power, and that will be the time when, for me, there will be divisions in the party? If the party will have to be deliberate about its succession planning, and there would need almost to be a buy-in of the next candidate that's going to support, who's going to take power from Julius Malema. And they have the ability to actually think it through now that there aren't agitations that are serious for challenging Julius Malema's leadership.
Ongama, as always, we appreciate your perspective. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Ongama Mtimka, political analyst there. Well, the National Treasury says government faces some, tough decisions following South Africa's latest credit rating setback. Treasury